Jesus has a couple of brilliant images to describe his disciples. You're quite familiar with them, but I'll read them. It comes in chapter 5 of St. Matthew's Gospel. Listen to this. Jesus said to his disciples, "You are the salt of the earth. But if salt becomes tasteless, what can make it salty again? It's good for nothing but being thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A city built on a hilltop cannot be hidden. No one lights a lamp to put it under a tub. No, you put it on a lampstand, where it shines for everyone in the house. In the same way, your light must shine in the sight of other people, so that seeing your good works, they will give praise to your Father in heaven." But notice, when we use the expression, the salt of the earth, you say, "Oh, that man's a salt of the earth," you mean somebody quite extraordinarily good. Jesus says to his disciples, "You are the salt of the earth." If you're not his disciple, don't bother. But presume you are listening. You are the salt of the earth. You're a light of the world. All of us who are his disciples. Notice a very interesting comparison. Well, light and salt. One thing they have in common, they're not for themselves, they're used for something else. I mean, salt. You don't make a meal of salt. It brings out the taste in the meat or whatever you're cooking. What's for supper? Salt. No. Might be chicken, might be a steak, might be... But the salt will bring out the taste of it. The salt doesn't exist for itself. In fact, you don't notice it unless there's too much or not enough. You just taste the flavour that it brings out. Now, light is the same, isn't it? You don't turn on a light to look at it. You put a light on to see something else. You don't notice the light unless it's too bright or not bright enough to see what you want. The salt of the earth is, like the psalm says, "Taste and see that the Lord is good." You are to bring out the taste, the attractiveness of God. Or you are the light of the world. What are you trying to reveal? What's the light shining on? Jesus makes it clear. That they may, seeing your good work, they may give glory to your praise in heaven. Your good works are the light, so that they can see God. And for the most part, he doesn't talk about religious works. Feed the hungry, clothe the naked, help people in need, visit people in prison or when they're sick. In other words, helping other people. That is good works. That is what makes you the light of the world. Not trying to make them Catholic or Christian or something. Pope Benedict said it very clearly in first letter he wrote when he was Pope. Listen to this. "Those who practice charity in the Church's name will never seek to impose the Church's faith on other people. They realize that a pure and generous love is the best witness to God. A Christian knows when it is time to speak of God and when it's better to say nothing and let love alone speak for itself." Love speaks for itself. Your good works light up, help people to see the presence of God. Unfortunately, we often miss on it. No, Gandhi, the great Indian mystic, when he read the Sermon on the Mount of Jesus, he was really deeply moved, he said. It meant everything. That's what he stood for. But when he came to live among Christians, oh, then he was disappointed. He couldn't find any that lived like Christ. Now, a few years ago, it was a time when Eritrea was at war. I lived in South London, and there were lots of refugees coming over. And I remember one man, a very tall man with a drooping moustache. He looked so sad. He'd lost his family. He didn't know if they were alive or dead. He'd never been in a country like this. What I do remember, he had a very quaint English, almost from another century. There was a lovely family next door, the O'Briens, and little John, who was about 10 or 11, he called him Master John, and he called his sister Miss Angela. Mum, Mrs. O'Brien, and Mrs. Mary. But, oh, he was lost. He couldn't understand the currency, he didn't know the shops. I don't know if he'd ever cooked before, perhaps he wasn't used to our food. But the O'Briens took care of him, they really looked after him. And one day, Mary O'Brien took a big plate of food. Whenever she put food on a plate, it was a pile, enormous. And she gave it to him and said, "Don't forget to say your grace." Then she told me, he looked at her with almost tears in his eyes and said, "Mrs. Mary, I will say my grace. I will thank God not just for the food, for the things you've given me, but for your kindness ever since I've been here." Then he said, "I'm ashamed to say it's a long time since I really thanked God, but today I am thanking God for bringing me here and receiving such kindness." That woman told me the story almost with a chuckle. She was the light of the world. She revealed God to that man. He'd lost everything, but hope came simply because she showed love by what she did. Bit of a joke about saying your grace. No real talk of religion. But our faith, the Old Testament, the New Testament, it's all full of this. Helping others. Taking care of those in need. If you have gifts, share them. Jewish spirituality has this image. If you receive a blessing, it's really given to you to flow through you to other people. But the Muslims, Hindus, Buddhists, they all have the same teaching. Oh, we get caught up in religious arguments about got to do this, got to do that. But no, the basic teaching of all of them is helping those who need. Share what gift you have. We need to do that for our own spiritual health. If you hang on to the gifts that you've been given, they'll go mouldy. Like salt that lost its taste. Or you might have various motives for doing it. You might do it because you feel guilty if you don't. You might do it just because of the feeling you have for people. I know when all the news of refugees was on television, in the papers, a woman said to me, when I saw the state of those children and I thought of my children, I had to give something for them. She was so moved. You might do it to please God. God, our Lord wants us to do it, so I'll do it. Or you might do as a sort of prayer. If you're praying for healing for someone, at the moment I've just started a novena for a friend of mine who's really ill. So each day I'm saying a special prayer for healing. And in the course of the week I'll do some sort of penance. But the other thing I need to do as part of the prayer is helping other people, doing something for people in need. Or maybe something fairly simple. I might just be particularly nice to someone who drives me around the bend. No, it doesn't matter. But look for something to do to help someone in need. If someone is down, try and pick them up, help them, cheer them up. Someone physically needs, then give him something, or her. Show kindness, and then people will come to see God. Or like you're the salt of the earth, they will taste the attractiveness, the good flavour of God. We need the poor people. All poor people are in need, but we who have anything need to give to them. Otherwise something in us will die. And if the light, because you're the light of the world, if the light is flickering or seems to be going out, you need to charge the batteries. And I noticed last week Pope Francis said, to charge the batteries you need to pray. So prayer comes into it to help you to be more generous. Ask for the gift of generosity. To be able to see people in need, and for whatever motive, become a saint if you like, or simply because you're moved at the dire straits that some people are in. Give of the blessings that you have received. And one day, please God, when we've left this world, it will be revealed to you who you have helped, who you have brought to God without ever realizing it. Just doing something because it seems naturally the thing to do. I use a Celtic blessing to ask God to bless you like that. May the God of gentleness be with you, caressing you with sunlight, wind and rain. May the tenderness of God shine through you to warm the hearts of those who are lonely or sad. May the gentleness of God be yours. Amen.